So to start with, I'm having the students go to www.algebraninja.com. Okay, so go there, and to start with, I want you to add that to your home screen. You know how there's an up arrow, the share? Do add to home screen. It'll put up a little tiny logo of a ninja on your home screen. Okay, I want you to show me, see, like she's showing me right here. I can see the little, it's a black ninja on a black background, so it's very stealth. Just show me that you added Algebra Ninja. I see it, thank you. I see it, thank you. You see it? That's share right there. And then add to home screen. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you. You got it. Yes. Yes. You have it too. You have it. I see it. Thank you. Can you turn it my way? I can't see it. It's too much glare. Thank you. I see it. Thank you.
I'm learning how to choose the right audio apps.
You have the Did you do the share?
Yes.
There it is, thank you. George, no? I think I should. I saw yours from the other side. And yes, and can you show me yours? I can't see it from this angle. There it is, thank you. Thank you. Have you made it a logo? All right, so can you show me your home screen? There it is, thank you. Did you add this to your home screen? There. Add to home screen. Add. Now, there. It'll always be easy to open the phone and touch it. Is it on your home screen? There it is, thank you, and there it is. Okay, yay. There was a few people that didn't know how to do it or forgot, and now you got it done. Okay, good. That is a key site. Why? Because if you can get your basics down, I had tons of kids last year go from regular HA. They got all their basics down. They got A's all year then in my class. And then they were like, this is easy. I'd like to take honors next year. Almost never happens that kids go from just taking the regular class to moving up to the honors class. And I had like 6 kids do it last year. Okay, maybe it's going to be you. That you can go from being just kind of an average student in a normal math class to going to the honors class. Okay, and how do you do that? It's not that complicated. And how do you do well in my class? You know these basics. All right, so everybody get to Algebra Ninja and touch on the tab that says ACT Prep. You might be like, I don't care about the ACT. That's where I store it because I was trying to figure out what to call it that would be short. ACT's 3 letters, and a lot of people will take the ACT. So next, the thing it defaults to is called the top 20. Frankly, that's too hard for you right now. I'd love it if somebody could prove me wrong. Ace the top 20, that'd be amazing. But those are really hard. Okay, so what we're going to start with is basic 20. So now find the ones called basic 20. You will see that there are several versions of the basic 20. I want you to find version 3 of the basic 20 and open it. Would you please compare with the kid next to you and make sure that they were able to find version 3 of the basic 20. Just like make sure, because some kids get lost. Version 3 of the basic 20.
Is it V3 or version 3?
V3 is the same thing as version 3.
But there's... Oh.
There's one that's a key,
Oh, okay.
and there's one that's the actual questions. All right, looks like you guys have found it. Okay, good. Now here's my question. Off of version 3, is there anything on there that I haven't talked about and you might not be able to do? Because you're like, I haven't seen that in forever. Like, I'll give you an example of one. One of them is where you have a fraction and you have to add another fraction that doesn't have a common denominator. Like, you might have forgotten how to do this, so I'm just going to remind you. Would you guys look, which problem is it that's got like 2 fractions like that? Everybody look at number 19. Would you read me, actually, that problem?
3 over 8 plus 1 over 3.
Thank you. Now, Can I add these just the way it is and just go 3 plus 1 is 4 over 8 plus 3? No, that's too easy. These need a common denominator. What's a good denominator for 8s and 3s? Always just multiply them. 24 is a good denominator. So everybody on that, you remember how I had you do a split screen? It's so you could write right now. Because some people were having trouble getting this to load into Notability, but if you just use a split screen, you got scratch paper, it'll be fine. Now, how do I get an 8 to turn into a 24?
You multiply it by
Times by 3. So then that's what you do to the other number. 3 times 3 is 9. Get what happened there? I just times them both by 3. How do you get a 3 to turn into a 24? Times 8, and so you do the same thing to the top. And now it goes from really hard to super easy. What is the final answer to 9 over 24 plus 8 over 24? 17 over 24. You just add them on the top. Now, I know for a lot of people, that's been a while. You haven't done common denominators on fractions in so long. But guess what? We do it in here at least 5 times on tests. Like you'll have 5 different moments where you have to add fractions on a test, and otherwise you're going to get it wrong. And if we can just fix that right with what we just did, maybe that was enough. Maybe everybody can do it now. I'm also a realist, so on your scratch paper, let's try one. See if you really got that. 1/7 plus 4/5. If you really understood that, get a common denominator and add these. This is one of 20 things you need from regular algebra to be able to thrive in here in higher algebra. Amelia, what's a good denominator? 35 is an excellent denominator. And Lily, what's a way to get 1/7 to times up to 35? Times 5 on the top and the bottom. Very good. Mallory, how can I get my 4/5 to turn into 35? Times 7. Jack, this should tell me what I should have here. What should I have there? 5 over 35. And how about the other one, Jack? 28 over 35. And if I'm adding them, it's hard to do in your head, but you can do it. 30-something. 33 over 35. And there's your final answer. All right. Now, on our first test, I actually thought it was no calculator, but I was wrong. That's my honors class has a no calculator first test. You guys get a calculator on your first test. So let's say that you really suck at adding. It wouldn't have held you back. 28 plus 5, you could grab your calculator and go 28 plus 5 is 33. Okay, so don't worry too much about the little stuff on the adding on the first test. Okay, all right. Do you get that you learned adding fractions a long time ago, and so long ago that you might have forgotten it? But now you should have it back, because that's the cool thing about your brain. Do you get, if that was the first time in your life you had ever added fractions, it would have taken longer to teach it to you? But in the recesses of your mind somewhere, you had learned how to add fractions, and I just needed to give you a couple-minute reminder, and it brings it back. Like the first time you learned to add fractions, it was seriously 2 weeks in probably 4th grade. You probably worked on this for 2 weeks to finally figure it out. And I just taught you in like 5 minutes. You are smarter than you were in 4th grade, but it's partially because you already had it down. I doubt anybody in here had never learned that. Okay, there's a whole bunch of things on that sheet. Is there anything else on that sheet that we're not taking that exact test today. We're gonna take a different version than that, but it's gonna be just like that. So is there anything else on that sheet that you might struggle with? Because I'm gonna do 3 more for practice. And if you personally don't ask me, I'll just pick ones that I know are important. But, you know, you're not gonna be wasting people's time. I'm gonna do 3 anyways. It might as well be the ones that you want me to do. So which one's on there might stump you, and we'll do that one. Yes, Grace.
11 and 12 are probably
All right, would you read me 11 first?
if f, and then in parentheses,
F of x, yep, keep going.
equals 7x minus 4, evaluate x equals -3.
All right, so f of 3, is that what I want to do? Is that what they're asking?
Yeah,
Okay,
-3.
oh, -3. Okay, then here you go. This is this easy. All you got to do is, that's where x goes, not in the middle of stuff, unless you're on fire. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to put a 7, and then where the x was, I'm going to put the -3, and then I go -4. What did I just do? I just stuck the -3 in where the x was. Do you want to use the bathroom or something? Okay, go ahead. Just don't want you to stop the flow of teaching. You can always just raise your hand and I'll call on you. All right, so what is the final answer? Well, what's 7 times -3? If I was really bad at multiplying, I might need a calculator for that, but I can do it. It's -21. And then I put a -4 with it, and what'd you get? Well, let's make sure you've got a way to get your basic answers. I know this is a 3rd app and you can't have 3 things on the screen at once, can you? The split screen? Just 2. So, but you should be able to double tap out of this and get into the calculator. You'll need the calculator on your iPad. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you should go get it. So go grab your calculator right now. Make sure you know where it is. Because in a minute, we're going to be taking a test and I will allow a calculator, but I won't allow your cell phone. For obvious reasons. So you can use your iPad's calculator during this little quiz we're going to take. Is there anybody that doesn't know where it is? Phones are... This is a quiz. You're taking a quiz. Don't worry. You'll be fine. It's not going to hurt your grade. It is going to go into the grade book, but it's going to be for me to be able to see how good is this kid at old algebra. That'll be just my starter score for you. And let's say you get, and this happens all the time, let's say that you only get 8 of them right. Well, then it's an 8 out of 20, which goes in the no count. But then, guess what we do after a couple days? We take another one. And hopefully you move up to 10 out of 20. And guess what we do about 2 more days later after that? You take another one. How many versions do I have? I have 14 versions. If we need them, we can take it 14 times. And hopefully everybody will get all of them right eventually. Okay, so right now, this is just the how do they do without Mr. Server telling them how to do all of them. It's kind of like your first try. Now we did do some of these. Do you remember doing those little quizzes called Basic 20 version, or problems 1 through 5? Basic 20, problems 6 through 10. Those were just the same stuff you're about to do. Okay, so you practiced a little bit, but I haven't really told you much about these. So we'll see how you do without my help. Or I guess you could say, I've given you a little help. And then, hopefully, seriously, 2 weeks from now, I'm hoping that you can do all of these. Or at least close. So if there's any you don't know, ask me now. Yes?
12, number 12.
Number 12. It's weird. It's 3y, 2m, y, m to the third, 5y. Yeesh.
We have different.
Oh, my bad. Would you read me number 12?
7y, 2y, n to the third, m 2y. 2y.
There, I think I got it now. Okay, so here's what you need to learn about these. This is all multiplied together. So that means you can rearrange it any way you want. Did you know that 2 times 3 times 5 is the same as 5 times 3 times 2? You can rearrange them, right? Did you know that? So that means I can go put the 7 and the 2 right next to each other and then just do it. What is 7 times 2? 14. And then I can even times that by 2, because there's another 2. You know what 14 times 2 is? 28. That's why my answer is a 28. That's all I got to do.
How about the weird variables?
So you tell me, what do you do with a y and a y and another y?
Y to the third.
Exactly. And what do you do with those m's? Well, there's an m to the third, and then there's this m is to the fourth, and there's this m, I think that's only to the fifth, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's the sixth.
What? Well, how many m's do we have? I got these 3, 4, 5. Oh, maybe you think this is a squared. That's not a squared. So it's m to the third, and another m makes it to the fourth, and another m makes it to the fifth. No problem. This is good. We all make mistakes. There's my answer. You get how you can just multiply all the numbers, put all the y's together, and put all the m's together. So yeah, it's not that bad. You might not have known how to do that a second ago, but you can do it now. So, I know because I've taught a lot of math classes, you don't normally start with something like this that they just keep making you do over and over again until you get it right. But I'm telling you, I've done it. I did it last year with the kids. And I would compare my scores to other people's scores who didn't do this and didn't get these basics down. Do you get, if a kid doesn't know basic algebra, they're not going to do too good on algebra 2. So when I got people to get all their old algebra down, this stuff, they did really well. My scores were really good last year, so I think that can be you. All right. So find me another one that you might get wrong if we take this quiz in just a minute. It's just like yours. It's just a different version. Is there one that might stump you? Lily, what else you got? Number 14. Can you read number 14 for me, Lily?
5 over 2 divided by
3 over 10? Thank you. All right. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite one because I can do it. I can teach it in 30 seconds. Ready? Instead of dividing by 3/10, times it by 10/3. And times is the easiest kind. 50 over 6. The end. Now, it would be nice to simplify it, but all I did was flip this one over. I didn't flip both of them. I just flipped the second one over, and then I times them, and that's it. Now, should I reduce it? Yeah, but that's a different thing. But just flip one of them, the second one. You see how easy that is? So, fraction over a fraction like that, I'm telling you, it comes up in this class a lot, and it comes up in pre-calc, which is what you take next. It comes up in that class all the time. That's why I needed you to remember that. Oh, by the way, on reducing, did you know that the best way to do that is to try to find something in common? Like, I know they both have a 2 in them, so then I just go and factor it. That's my favorite saying for a reason. If you can factor it, you should. 2 times 25 makes 50. 2 times 3 makes 6. And then, see how those cancel? The answer is 25/3. 2 times 25 is 50, and 2 times 3 is 6. That's the easy way to reduce. All right, so let's see if you really got that. Everybody try this one on scratch paper. 1/3 divided by 4/5. You don't even have to write the problem down the way it is. You can just change it to that better way of doing it. 5 seconds later, they all know how to multiply instead of divide. And it's easy peasy. Ian, 1/3 times what? Not 4/5. Flip it.
5/4.
5/4. There you go. And final answer, other Ian in the front. 5/12. Perfect. That's it. Who had that one right? Cool. You see how that's one of the 20 important things you used to know but probably forgot. But if we can get these fixed, I'm telling you, it's magical. We end up having so many good grades on tests because you remember the old stuff. And that's the secret of math. Like, it's not like English class where you might have a unit on poetry. You can totally fail the unit on poetry and do awesome on the next unit, which is about, the Great Gatsby. In math, if you totally fail a whole unit, then that means the next unit's going to suck too, because it depends on the last one. So my class totally depends on regular algebra, which you didn't have last year. You had 2 years ago during COVID. So that kind of is, super important that we get these down. Okay, what else is there on this sheet that you don't remember? Find me another one that when I give you the quiz in a minute, you're probably going to get it wrong unless we fix it. Yes, sir.
9.
Read it.
1/5a equals 12.
All right, cool. This is so nice. All you got to do is get rid of the 1/5 and your a will be alone, and then it'll be solved. How do you get rid of that? You times by the denominator. The denominator is the bottom part, in case you forgot. Just times by 5. And then this cancels. And then it's 1a. But isn't that the same thing as a? So it's just a equals 12 times 5. And if you're not good at that, it is 60 good. You could have used a calc. You just times both sides by 5. That's it. Yes?
20.
Read it.
-8, then there's no negative, and then there's a -2 in an absolute value.
Oh, absolute value like this. Cool. All right. Do you remember yesterday I said absolute value is distance? So that distance has to come out positive. So I'm just going to do one step. You remember me saying to get to Patagonia? One step at a time. So I'm going to get this changed to 2. -8 minus 2. I stay organized and it's not that bad. Now, do you remember those guys are on the same team and so they're just going to all join together and the answer is? -10. I know it's lunchtime very soon. When do we leave? 49. That is pretty much now. I'll see you after lunch. We'll take that little quiz after lunch. So we're back from lunch, and now it's time for the big reveal. Well, almost. We're going to do a couple last math problems, and this kind is double. It's on the basic 20, and it's on your test that you're going to have later this week. The plan right now is that your test, we will take a practice test tomorrow on Thursday, and then the actual test is this Friday. It's your first real test. And here's something that's on the little quiz we're about to take and the test. It's going to be so hard you can't even believe it. Graph that. Okay, I lied. It's not that hard. But that's on both things. You're okay, you're on time. So graph that. It's something you'll have to know for today's quiz, and it's something you'll have to know on Friday's actual real test. Yes, you heard it right. If you just arrived, Friday is the day we take our first test. So here's all you would have had to do. You put an 8 on the number line. You put a filled in circle. Why not empty? Because it says or equal. That means it can be 8. And then it's got the arrow going this way, you know? So you shade that way. How many of you would have had that one right? Cool. All right. I know. That was a pretty easy one. Here's another one that is on both the test you're going to take today and the test on Friday. It's so hard. This is like almost child abuse. Yep. You actually have to distribute in this class. Amelia, what'd you get?
3x minus 12.
That's all there is to it. Cool. Okay, now here's one that's also on both simple equations. 5x equals 3x minus 11. Solve. Hint, you have to do something to both sides to get the variables. So there's only variables on one side. You can't have variables on both sides. Okay, you should have started with subtracting 3x from both sides. Why? Because it's the smaller of the variables. We'll have to talk about, I know, today is a weird day for time, but a little off there. 2x equals negative 11, and then I'm dividing by 2. Negative 11 over 2. Who had that one right? Sweet. Okay. Then this one is not on the quiz you're about to take, but it is on the test on Friday. I mean, it's not this exact question, but there'll be one like this. Absolute value less than 5. And then when you're done with it, you got to graph it. Do you remember doing the splits? It's that. You split this thing. Remember, it's tricky because it's going to be 5 and negative 5. And the sign has to switch too. Now tomorrow, I will run you through a little practice of everything you have to know for Friday's test. Tomorrow, Thursday, you get to practice everything, and then Friday's the real deal. Did you know this was x minus 4 is less than 5? And x minus 4 is greater than negative 5? Some people will have forgotten the sign switch, except I told you, so you probably didn't forget that. Some people forget to put in the negative. But I bet you everybody that gets this far can finish and get x is less than 9, and x is greater than negative 1. Then can you put that on a number line? What if there's 2 numbers? Can you handle that? I feel like it's pretty easy. Jackson, where do I go from the 9? To the left or to the right? Yep, because this arrow right here, you can tell it's pointing that way, so you shade that way. Does the 9 itself actually get filled in circle or empty circle? Say it if you know it. Empty. And the other one is a negative 1. That's down here somewhere. You get to decide. Just it has to be to the left. Smaller numbers are always on the left. And then it's empty circled there too. And it goes in between like that. There was your final answer. Who got that far? Sweet. Then you're in good shape for the test on Friday so far. All right. So now that little basic 20 quiz is what happens in class. If you missed the video and are watching the video at home today, you will find that as a link on the Schoology page today. For the kids in class, I printed them for you. If you want to just get a printed one when you come back tomorrow, that's okay too. We're going to take the basic 20 today, and no judgment. If you do bad on it, you're just going to do as best as you can. And then your homework, you'll actually take it in class, and your homework will be to grade it by typing your answers into the Schoology quiz. You'll be all done with it. It'll be on paper. You just have to type your answers in. That's your only homework for tonight. And then it grades it for you automatically and puts it in the no count category.